So I've been playing a game, you know, if you happen to look at the thumbnail or title, you should know what game it is. It's Blue Protocol Star Resonance. And you might be asking, so why is the game off? Why do you think that? And I'll get to that, but first I want to talk about the things I actually like about this game before I talk about the things I hate, because I actually really wanted to like this game.
This game is horrible.
However, the things that I know make it where I can't possibly recommend it wholeheartedly, hardly even a little. So for starters, in order, I actually love the character creation system. It's incredibly expansive, despite that most games like this aren't. I mean, specifically, anime gacha games typically have nothing like this, so it feels refreshing to have this level of quality here. There's so much to customize that I don't feel bad at all about the character I created because I personally think they look great. The beginning cutscene right here of this story is kind of cool, but it goes away so fast that ultimately when it cut away to the beginning of your amnesia, despite that this scene hardly feels like something someone would get amnesia from, not only that, but if I could nitpick real quick, I know a lot of games do this, even Breath of the Wild, one of my favorite games, does this, but would it kill you to make the weapon on your back actually look like it's attached and not just floating there? Like, sure, Breath of the Wild's way of holding a stick to your back is with rope, which obviously wouldn't work in real life, but at least it tried. Now, all this said, I do actually like this opening and the characters. The one character that actually matters to the plot showing up here, Irona, she's very charming, and the dialogue between ourselves and her actually feel like something meaningful for a bit. So you probably hear what I mean, though, which is there is a part of this I despise, and that is not the characters themselves, but the dialogue, because this scene at the beginning has voice acting.
They couldn't
give the main character, which is why I say Irona is charming here. But almost every part aside from right here, this first scene, has absolutely no voice acting. And in the cases where it does, there's a little, maybe a cutscene with some. Then it moves to a visual novel-like style, which isn't bad, but without voice acting feels incredibly static and flat. It's not fun, it's boring. That'd be different if there was a lot more of it, but because they just did the fuck away with it so fast, it feels like they had no creative intent to make the player, us, feel engaged at all. Because the way this is incredibly unengaging. Something I didn't talk about earlier, but I will talk about now, is that I really like the class system and the combat system. It's a lot of fun, but the sad part is it's really only fun at first, because the attacks you do are so cool and fun to use, but the enemies you fight do basically no damage to you, and they get staggered while you don't. Sure, you can argue it's because I'm over-leveled, but you level up so fast that this argument falls incredibly flat. You are basically overpowered at this beginning here, and that's not very engaging at all because there's no challenge to it, not even a little. It's too easy. Even the boss enemy of the quest you do at the beginning here is so piss-fucking easy. It's not rewarding to not accomplish anything. To move on to exploration, it is incredibly similar to Wuthering Waves and Genshin Impact. I did find world statues, and I did find puzzles for chests. Chests by themselves with nothing in them, basically, but also found waypoints that you can just activate, which, while I understand that's how it is, I wish the interactions were more interesting. Instead of just the chest opening or the waypoint glowing, it's boring like this.
Like puke up a donkey's ass. What a shitload of motherfucking bullfuck. I was just kidding. It's not a shitload of fuck.
Another thing I actually like is how later in the story here, I was actually able to play as another recognizable character, Irona. If it was incredibly short, perspective changing is a cool thing that more games should do, in my opinion. It made this part engaging for me. And not just that, but also if you went around with her and did the same stuff your main character did here, there's a nice little attention to detail. However, this part still has no voice acting, and that still kills the little bit of engagement I had here. One more thing that I do like is that you get at least one outfit for free from a quest. That's about all the positive points I got, which also have negative points mostly. You could say I'm judging this game unfairly by comparing it to other far better games, but I don't agree. I think any game should be available for judgment no matter what game it is, as long as you've done the research, whether by playing the game or other perspectives. That's all you need. It doesn't mean you're objectively correct, and perhaps there's more to this game than meets the eye for me. I'm not entirely sure. But the reason I'm talking about this early happens to be, well, let's look at the negative points. Starting with what probably isn't prevalent to you given the fact you aren't told about it. In fact, I just happened to find it after never being told, and so this thing I found is in the game store. This in of itself is not actually a negative. A store is typical for these games. No, the negative part is what I saw in there. Look through multiple parts of the store and you'll see each of these outfits you can obtain by buying them for your character. There are so fucking many of these, and I wouldn't have such a big problem with it, but when I was looking in my wardrobe menu, I mistake these exploration points it tells you about as how you unlock the outfits, because I didn't know how. Not that finding these things out in of themselves are all that negative, but it was a bit devastating for me personally, which I should have expected this given this is a gacha game. More on that in a moment, but the more negative part is how after discovering these and checking if I could buy them with the rose orbs I had, I found out something else. Each of these currencies I held were considered bound, as in unable to pay for items that require literal paid currency. And not only that, but if you look through each of these menus, you'll notice that you have so many fucking currencies, it's a little hard to keep up with. But as I was saying, these currencies are bound, which I had no idea until I checked, because the difference between them is just part of the icon. I think it would have been easier if they just separated the currencies, but they didn't do that. So anyway, why is this so bad? Because nearly every single fucking item in this store uses paid currency. At least all of the outfit related ones barring a few, which means the free-to-play experience in this game is incredibly awful. You might just think, whatever, I'll just trade for them with my Luno, but the issue is the stuff in the guild store up for trade by other players uses premium currency, because yes, that Luno you have is bound. So as a matter of fact, no the fuck you cannot.
Whoever came up with this is an asshole!
So if you thought that was the only predatory thing in this game, you are so wrong. This game makes Genshin's predatory nature look like an angel. So you remember how I called this a gacha game? You haven't seen any rolling this entire video, right? There can't possibly be rolling on things, right? Right? There is summoning in this game. It's literally called Wish, just like Genshin, but it couldn't be any more different because it doesn't state how much it costs up to. You know what it does do? It tells you how much you have until pity. 30 pity for super rare, 80 pity for super rare. But guess what it is you summon on? It's the fucking clothes. That's what you pull on.
What a piece of shit.
Now, I'm not entirely sure, but I think you can obtain a lot of the in-game clothing from this, which doesn't make this all bad, because technically that does mean there's a way free-to-play can obtain the clothes they would want. But let me ask you something. Do you really think it's that easy? I ask that because while it's rhetorical, because I'm gonna tell you anyway, if you thought it was that easy, I seriously hope the way you answered was no, because you'd be fucking correct. Because this currency you were acquired for this, yes, there's another fucking currency, is a Meowlux Wish coin, and it can only be a bound one, because yes, it's also a paid currency too. The thing that most gachas make fucking free has a premium currency. Do you want to know how you obtain this currency? As a free-to-play, you can obtain it 3 times a fucking week from the store with your bound currency rose orbs. 3 times a week. That's it. That is fucking gross. That time gating just reminds me of Genshin. But Genshin didn't time gate fucking wishing. It time gated character progression. So it's honestly kind of debatable which is worse. What's even worse than that is the pity guarantee is still random between 6 items. 60% for one item and the rest is 10%. When having so many odds, it makes it hard to incentivize pulling at all in any way with this, and the fact you can't get more than 3 per week as a free-to-play makes this so goddamn annoying. This sort of thing does not respect you at all. Not a bit of your fucking time or anything is respected. This is also a thing with Genshin. There is no respect to the player in that game, completely, not just wishing, rates, characters, design, story, and bloat. Every sense of the game doesn't do this, even collecting chests and other things. As for this game, I'm saying this game doesn't respect you this early because of all of this. It's not within the player's interest, generally speaking. It's against them. It's really bad. So yeah, that's how bad this game really is. Maybe not gameplay-wise, but in every other case, it's not good. Like I said, I really wanted to like this game. At the beginning, I thought it had a lot of charm, but as soon as I played it more and found out these things, I just realized what kind of game it is. Not only that, but the quality I had expected was clearly not what they had in mind, even with a couple of minutes in. I played this game for about 5 hours, and in those 5 hours, it has been one of the most dissatisfying experiences I've ever had. And the anger I felt when I learned what it was, why that was so prevalent, is because I'm tired of games like this. I wish these games instead were just paid so we had a better, much higher quality experience, but I know that's only wishful thinking. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you like this game and why. See you in the next one.